Hello there, everybody. Keith Schweigert here from Lancaster Online, giving you the rundown of Week 7 of the Lancaster Lebanon League High School football season. Plenty of big games on the docket tonight, so let's jump right in. We'll get started in Section 1, where Penn Manor and Wilson stayed on their collision course. They both picked up big wins tonight. Comets knocked off Manheim Township 30-6 in the game I was live blogging from, while in Lancaster, Wilson escaped with a 14-7 win over Lancaster Catholic. So both of those teams stay tied in first place, and both have one more hurdle to clear before the big showdown in 2 weeks. That'll be first place on the line, very likely the section title on the line when those two teams tangle in Millersville on October 26th. But meanwhile, going back to tonight's action, Penn Manor got it done on both sides of the ball tonight against Township. The Comet defense holds the streaks to 238 yards, and they came up with 2 interceptions. While on offense, they racked up 345 total yards, including 239 on the ground, and they scored 4 rushing touchdowns. 2 of those go to Brandon Stone. Charlie Bell had one, and quarterback Adam Saad had the other. So very impressive performance tonight by the Comets. Meanwhile, over in Lancaster, Catholic had its chances against Wilson tonight, but the Bulldogs, they've been getting it done all year on defense, and the defense came through in the clutch tonight whenever they needed it to. The Dogs had 2 interceptions in their red zone, and they also came up with a huge goal line stand late in the fourth quarter. They stopped Catholic's all-star running back Roman Clay twice from the 1-yard line very late in the fourth quarter to preserve that victory. Jim Brooks had both the touchdowns for Wilson tonight. He had a 4-yard run and a 60-yard punt return. Catholic's only touchdown was a touchdown pass from Evan Purvis to Sean Titus from 46 yards out. That was the only time the Crusaders could find the end zone tonight. So great effort by them. They just come up a little short, and Wilson stays tied with Penn Manor for first place. Elsewhere in Section 1, McCaskey has won 2 out of its last 3 games now. They blew out Warwick tonight, 42-7. Aaron Swinton, huge night for the Tornado. He had 128 rushing yards, 2 interceptions, 3 touchdowns, including 2 through the air on passes from Collins Gantz. Deontay Cherry had an 8-yard touchdown run as well for McCaskey. They had 403 yards of offense, while their defense forces 3 turnovers. So it's a good night on both sides of the ball for the Tornado. They are now 3-4 overall and 2-2 in the section, so they seem to be coming on here late in the year. And finally, the woes just continue for Hempfield in Section 1. The Black Knights have lost their 5th straight now. Tonight they lose 42-9 to Cedar Crest. The Falcons came into this one on a 5-game losing streak themselves, but they rack up 538 yards of offense. Grant Bowler had 3 touchdown runs for Cedar Crest, so yet again another disappointing loss for Hempfield. They've been shorthanded for most of the year, as I'm sure everybody knows by now, but it's just getting worse and worse for them. So let's move on to Section 2 now, where the big game this week in the section was the trip from Manheim Central. They go into Lampeter to take on Lampeter Strasburg, and they left tonight with a 28-7 victory. The Barron defense got shredded by Cocalico last week in a big loss to the Eagles, but they redeemed themselves tonight. LS managed just 116 total yards. They turned the ball over twice. Meanwhile, Manheim Central's offense got it done like they've been doing every week. Colin Fry had 4 touchdown passes for the Barons, 2 to Andrew Seiberling and 2 to Taylor Geib. So great night on both sides of the ball for Manheim. So LS loses. That costs them their share of first place. Cocalico is now alone at the top because the Eagles rolled to a 49-12 victory over Lebanon tonight. Nick Reitenbach had 137 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns for Cocalico. Spencer Moser had 2 touchdown runs, and the Eagles had 307 yards of offense tonight. They've won 4 in a row, and they're now 6-1 overall, all alone on top of Section 2. Elsewhere in Section 2, Elizabethtown picks up its 2nd win of the season with a 35-0 blowout win over Ephrata. 6 turnovers tonight for the E-Town defense, and they held Ephrata to 115 total yards. Kirby Brault had 2 touchdowns for E-Town, so a very good win for them. And finally, might be time to break up Conestoga Valley. The Buckskins have won their 2nd in a row. That's after starting the season 0-5. Tonight they knocked off Solanco 24-0. Anthony Brown, 159 rushing yards and a touchdown on the ground, and he also took the opening kickoff 90 yards to the house for a touchdown. Big night for him. And in Section 3, we only had 3 games tonight. Garden Spot, the first place team, they are in a non-league game on Saturday, so they were not in action tonight. So let's look instead to Donegal. Second place Donegal, they kept the heat on Garden Spot by blowing out Peckway Valley 53-12 tonight. Huge night for Donegal's offense. 538 total yards, including 298 in the ground. They just ran all over the Braves. Another action in Section 3, Columbia picks up its second win in a row. They knocked off Anvil Cleona 18-6. This was a pretty sloppy game, 190 penalty yards for both teams. But the Tide got a pair of touchdowns from Andrew Combs, and their defense made that stand up. So they are now 3-4 in the season, and they're starting to look like a candidate for that one of the 4 district playoff spots in the Class A bracket. If they can keep this up, they'll probably get in. Remember, they are the defending District 3 Single A champs. And in tonight's final game, Elko stopped its 2-game slide with a 28-12 victory over Northern Lebanon. Northern Lebanon was out 13-0, or they were up 13-0 early in this game, but it was all Elko after that. The Raiders had 28 straight points, including 3 touchdowns from Cameron Strauss. So that's it for tonight. Remember, be sure to pick up a copy of our print edition for all of tonight's game details, and be sure to visit my blog, The Huddle, during the week for news, notes, and commentary leading up to Week 8. Thanks again for checking in tonight, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.